Well, the first thing I'm finding out, well, several things I'm finding out, is one, when I cured this resin, those dimensions shrank a little bit. And my brass is not going to slide down in those little pockets. So I'm going to have to glue the brass to a piece of steel and take it to the surface grinder and grind about 3/1000 off of it. The other thing that I found out the hard way is I didn't have all the resin out of this little corner back in here. So I'm going to have to round off the corner of one of these little pieces of brass once I get them to fit. And the moral of that story is make sure you got all the resin out before you cure the part. Back in those little inside square corners, that resin collected, especially in that one. It didn't do the other three that badly, but it sure piled up in that one. Little pieces of brass like this, or copper, or even aluminum, I've always had good luck just taking Loctite, super glue, whatever, and just gluing it to a piece of steel and grinding it. And there's some danger in that. It could, if it got too hot, turn loose and flip the piece of brass off in this case. But what I do is I use a 46 grit wheel. I happen to have a 1/2 inch wheel on the grinder right now, but I dress it in such a fashion that 1/8 of an inch or less of the wheel will do the grinding. I also don't use a new wheel. Never use a new wheel. Surface speeds too fast, and it'll generate more heat. But as long as it stays cool, the other thing is squirting water around it, or if you've got coolant on your machine, use coolant. But quite frankly, I've never had this come loose. I know that it could. As a matter of fact, I'll tell you what, I'll video grinding it, and maybe the first one that ever comes loose on me will come loose on video. If anything's ever going to go wrong, it's going to go wrong when you're showing somebody something. But I've never had that come loose. Maybe I've been lucky. Now, I've never done big parts that way. It's always little pieces, this size and even smaller. But I've really had good luck with it. And there is an element of danger to it, so you might not want to ever do that. But that's how I'm going to get my brass to the right thickness to slide in these slots. This I did a long time ago. The little drill fixture. I just sacrificed a pair of V-blocks, made this thing out of A2 and hardened it, and then jig ground. This is back when I had access to a jig grinder. Don't have a jig grinder now. Jig ground that hole on the center. And I made a bunch of little bushings, 8 3/16 quarter and 5/16 inch. And I even made, at one time I even made the center drills, back when I had better nerves and better eyesight and stuff. But it looks like the 1/8 inch is the only one I got left. I guess I broke all the others out of a piece of cutter blank. I guess I'd go buy some. But anyway, that's something somebody might be interested in. Now what my idea is, I generally put everything in a 3/8 collet on my CNC mill. I'm too lazy to change collets. So I've made me a little probe, in this case with a 100 thousandths diameter and I'm going to click a little electric wire to it, put it in the collet, and then I've got an offset. And what made this possible was the resin printers. They do such a fantastic job with tolerances. Now when you cure the resin, it shrinks a little bit, but I kind of compensated for that. And so I've got a 50,000 step between, well actually it's between this shoulder in here and that piece of brass. So when I'm in the CNC mill and I come over and I touch that brass, yeah, when I touch that brass, I'm on zero. I don't have to put in a value like with my other edge finder of 100 thousandths and then move to 100 thousandths, or do my artwork in the computer where when I edge find I can just hit zero because I put set my part up setting 100 thousandths in. But if you like this idea, all it is you can buy these. I don't know where they're at. This is from a failed project. This buzzer deal is something that didn't work out. But you can buy these things for probably less than 10 cents a piece, and or take them off of something. And the little buzzers, they're just as cheap. So I got 20 cents in it plus the resin and my time and my steel. I don't consider I need, value in it. But anyway, this uses a buzzer, but you could use a light and a little bitty battery. You don't have to use those big AA batteries. It wouldn't take hardly any current to light that bulb up. As a matter of fact, you probably have to put a resistor in with it to keep from burning the light out. All I got to do is put that on the corner of my part and then come in with my probe. And as soon as I hear that buzzer, I can just punch zero on my Mach 3 and I'm on zero. And I'm going to guess that the accuracy will be probably within plus or minus 2,000, maybe closer, because really with a resin printer, you can make precision parts with a resin printer. So if you've been on the fence, so to speak, about getting a resin printer, maybe this will tip you on over and give you an excuse to get one. But I guess for those of you that can't 3D model or something, send me your email address and I'll send you the STL file where you can print your own. A regular 3D printer wouldn't have the accuracy needed for this, but these resin printers, I'm finding out they're very accurate. You just got to allow for the shrinkage. Well, in this case, really, I didn't really allow for the shrinkage. When it all shrunk down, it still ended up 50,000 steps. So, but I do know that it does shrink because I made a knob one time. I printed a knob, and it fit on the kitchen toaster oven just fine. And then I came and cured it, and it wouldn't go on. I had to ream the hole. But anyway, these resin printers, they'll do precision. I don't know of any of these that exist now. All edge finders, electronic ones included, require you to put in an off-center condition of 100 thousandths or 250 thousandths, whatever. I don't know of one where when it goes off, you're on zero. So this is maybe unique enough somebody could actually make them and sell them. It's open source. Can't patent it because I put it on YouTube by now. You wouldn't be hearing about it. And you can't just change something from a buzzer to a light and patent it, because unfortunately I talked about the light. So it's open source. Feel free to make them and maybe sell them. Okay, I'm not through rambling on. Just thought of something else to say. This works for you woodworkers too. It doesn't make any difference whether the part's magnetic or not. Oh yeah, there's one other thing I'm fixing to do. I haven't ordered them yet, but I'm going to put a magnet in the bottom of this, so on steel it'll hold itself. But this will work for wood as well as metal because it has nothing to do with the conductivity of the material. So woodworkers can use it too. Here's why it needs a magnet up underneath. If it had a magnet, it wouldn't do that. Anyway, what I found is that this thing is plenty accurate for the kind of work I do anyway. I'm moving 1,000th at a time. I could set it down to, 1,000th at a time. I could set it down to 10,000ths, but I'm not going to. Okay, there I go. Now all I got to do is punch in 0. Now instead of having to put in a minus 100 or plus 100, whatever, I don't even have to think about that. All I got to do is just 0 it, and that's it. I like that. I invariably put the wrong 100,000ths in. I ought to be getting close now. Whoa, there we go. Kind of a weak sound. I'm barely on it. I think I'll go one more 1,000. Now if I were wanting to do something really, really close, like make a gauge, first of all, I don't think you use a grizzly to be making gauges with. They're not that great a machine. They're too flimsy. And then all I got to do for why. By the way, look how close I am. I'm within 7/10ths, and now if I did it 1/10,000th at a time, I might even get it closer. That back side of the vise used to be set at 0. So I'm within 1,000th of an inch over using a regular edge finder. The other way, the X-Travel, I don't know where I was on it. I don't think it was set, except maybe by eyeball. A lot of my work's eyeball work anyway. But anyway, all I got to do is just hit 0. If I'd been thinking, I wouldn't even have to have done it that way. But I knew that was already on 0. Whoa, I didn't. Anyway, I didn't have that in the right place. Anyway, it was 7/10. And what happened to my computer? My computer shut down.